So I just said, forget it. So then they go and they grab Mark Slaughter.
Yep.
And so now Mark is with them, and they go and do this video, and the video is with Mark Slaughter lip syncing to my voice.
Yeah.
So that was like the very first Milli Vanilli, actually. Then later on, Vinnie calls me up and says, "Hey, I got a offer to go play with Kiss."
Yeah.
And I said, "Do it.
Yeah.
Go play with Kiss." And we toured opening up for Van Halen.
Yeah.
So Running with the Devil tour.
Right.
So that was really interesting because I didn't realize that the band really didn't like Dave Lee Roth. And they took on Steve Algeri.
Yeah.
They took him on. And then after he left, I did get a call from them.
Do you go like, "Hey, Vinny, what the fuck? Why'd you fuck me over?"
It would be like trying to argue and talk to your, retarded cousin. It's like a wounded animal, you just kind of feel sorry for it. But
Sure.
under the same umbrella, he's just a fucking asshole too, This is my album.
Yes.
You open it up, there it is. And the last thing she said to me before she passed was, make the best album you've ever made.
Hey, I'm excited to welcome Robert Fleischman to the show. Robert played in Journey in the late 70s, wrote one of their biggest hits, Wheel in the Sky. He played with the Vinnie Vincent Invasion on their self-titled album. He's also a painter. And in the last year, he's released a new solo album called Emotional Atlas. And he performed on a brand new Enough's Enough song called Shine that also features Neil Sean and Donnie V. With that, Robert Fleischman, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. It's truly an honor to have you here. And I was just saying, like I want to talk about your history, but I've been listening to your new solo album, Emotional Atlas, for the last couple of days. And I'll just say, for fans of this channel who might know you from the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, it might be surprising at the direction you took. I love it. It's really atmospheric, and it has some of the most emotional lyrics I've heard in a long time. Like, when did you start this process for that album, and what can you tell us about recording it?
Well, it's a touchy story. I started. It took me about 3.5 years to write it. I wrote it. I started it after my wife passed away, battling cancer for 8 years.
Yep.
And so prior to that, well, actually, it took me 3 years, but after she passed away, I just painted. I think I painted for like almost 6 years.
Okay.
Or 5 years. And I was at a dinner party and everybody's going, "You got to do another record." And I'm like driving home and I'm contemplating. And so I get home and I grab my acoustic guitar and I sit on the couch and I just plunk it. And I just said to myself, I can't do another batch of songs with a guitar.
Right.
I just was so sick of the template. That's why I didn't go back to writing, because I was sick of the template.
Yeah.
And so in the early 80s, I was very involved in synthesizers.
Yep.
And then prior to that, when I was younger, I used to hitchhike from Torrance, California to Santa Monica, where Oberheim had their shop. And it was it used to be a bicycle shop. And they set up in there, and I used to go there and fool around with the synths and just hang out there like it's just some kid, And so then they asked me if I wanted to solder, so I would solder and stuff. And then I met Paul Beaver, who was Beaver and Klaus, who were these very environmental, synth-oriented, making records in that realm.
Yep.
And so I was invited to go to Paul Beaver's house and he lived somewhere like in Silver Lake area in LA, and he had this beautiful house and a back barn which was made out of bricks, and it was 2 levels. And so he had synths and everything on the top level, and downstairs he had bought a bunch of harpsichords from Europe, and he was assembling them. But anyway, I'd hear him on the phone talking to Robert Moog and stuff like that, and I just got, just sucked into it. And then I met Leon Russell, and Leon Russell had an ARP. I think it was the 2500 or 2800 or something like that. I might be completely wrong with that, but anyway, I used to go to his house and I used to fool around with them. So all my life I've just been around these synths, but I gravitated towards heavy rock and roll and pop rock and roll and all that. But I always had that in me. And then in the early '80s, like I said, I decided to record an album. So I did an ambient album and a kinetic album, I guess a techno album. So those are you can hear those on Spotify and stuff like that. Yep. So I always wanted to do vocals on those tracks and never did, and I never released it until '04, because back then you could you could print your own CDs then. So that's what I did. So that stuff lay dormant for years until I finally released it. And so I decided after plunking it, I thought, I know what I want to do. I want to go revisit what I had done in the past and put it together the way I envisioned it. And so I just had moved into a new house. I was setting up a room to record in, and then I started buying synths and everything, and I started doing Emotional Atlas, and I had everything all set up, and I didn't have a chair, and I grabbed the chair that I used to sit with my wife and hold her hand while she was going through it all, and so I grabbed that chair and I set it in my room, and the first song that I wrote was Great Lake View. And sounds odd and all that, but it was like the whole album was like channeled by her. She just had so much influence on it. And the last thing she said to me before she passed was, make the best album you've ever made. And I think I did do that. And I think it's the most adventurous thing I've ever done, and the most naked in a sense emotionally.
I hear your wife's influence all over the lyrics, and I was going to mention Great Lake View because I heard in another interview you talked about this chair and that you have this view of is it what lake are you by?
Lake Michigan.
You have this view of Lake Michigan, and you were like so it's. I'll admit, on the first listen, I was like, wait a minute, this is not what I expected. But then on the second listen, I feel like I start getting it. And then by the third listen, I'm like, you know what? This isn't completely out of the realm of what you've been doing in your career. I mean, like Great Lake View has, I mean, it's really ballady. The lyrics are just phenomenal. So anyway, I thought, like you said, it's a turn, but it's so emotional, and I would encourage people to. And I love the artwork. I'll put a picture of the artwork. But
well, when I was doing this album, I really wanted to be very left of center in the sense, and I wanted it to be. I approached it like a painter. I put on the painter's cap instead of the musician's cap on it.
Right.
And so to me, it's like sonic collage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's songs where there's just these drones going on, and so I when I would start a song, sometimes I'd start with one note as a drone throughout the whole 5 minutes, let's say, and then I'd layer another one and layer another one, and then I would listen to it on the headphones, and I'd hear all these harmonics moving throughout the whole thing, and then I would sort of suss out a melody that would complement it, and it just seemed to fit just like a glove, you know.
Right.
And then after doing that and and doing the vocals over that, then I would add on other things to color it and punch, you know, tones and melody, you know, underneath it. And so then it just kind of bloomed.
Was there a song that lyrically was the toughest to write? I don't know, maybe just thinking back on your wife or just thinking about life in
I,
general.
I'll tell you, you know, have you ever see that interview with Bob Dylan where he gets asked, "Can you write like that again?" And he goes, "No, I don't think I could ever do that again."
Right.
And that's what it is like for me. It's like,
Right.
how did I do that?
Right.
I don't remember how I did it. It's like I'm a funny kind of musician. I write songs on guitar and stuff like that, and then I write another one, but it's like you get the etch a sketch and it just cleans the slate, and I have to relearn how I wrote that song.
Right.
I
Right.
don't know what it is. I feel very embarrassed about it when people go, hey, can you play that song? And I can't play it because I just don't remember. It's just um, this experience, and then the next experience happens, and that gets wiped away to engage me and to uh, envelop the next song. But it's like all that just gets totally erased and gone, you know.
Right.
So I'm very odd that way.
So, do you feel like this is the direction that you feel comfortable with going forward? Or do you feel like, you know what, the next album, maybe I will pull the guitar back out and rock?
Um, well, as we speak, I'm doing sort of an ambient classical hybrid
Okay.
together right now. So I've got about 9 songs, and they're all instrumental, but they're like Baroque music with electronics and all this stuff.
Okay.
And so I'm just kind of I'm doing that right now for a UK label.
Sure.
And yeah, so I just, you know, these sonic landscapes, you know, I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, I've been I've been thinking about doing almost like a folk album
Yeah.
with just acoustic guitar and singing and just minimal instruments,
Yeah.
and just kind of because I just got through reading this book called about Greenwich Village,
Okay.
and all the history of Greenwich Village and all the clubs there and all the different folk artists who came through there, like Dylan and Paxton and Joni Mitchell and Joan Baez and, you know, all these different people. But so I kind of would like to gravitate towards that, and but at the same time, I don't know, whatever happens next, then I'll just kind of follow that lead.
I that to me that sounds exciting because and people that listen to the channel know like I love my heavy rock, but I listen to a ton of singer-songwriter stuff. I love mellow acoustic music. I think, you know, that would be a welcome turn in
Yeah, I
my
just don't
opinion.
like making the same album
Right.
twice.
Right.
You know, a lot of bands, they get signed up and then they try to repeat the next album is like they try to repeat the first album. And to me, it's like, why do that? Why just you know, get it? You got a chance to be adventurous, and
Right.
that just might be just the next, you
Right.
know, thing.
Right.
But and then they try to do it again, and then next thing they're off the label.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for your second chance, I'd say just go for it.
Yeah.
Don't repeat the same thing because you're never going to get the same brushstrokes.
Right. So speaking, you know, and now I'd like to kind of like your voice is so iconic and so, you know, like capable of doing what so many singers couldn't do. When was the first time somebody told you, "Hey, that voice, you're going to do something special with that voice"?
Well, I don't know. I just, when I was a kid, um, around 11 years old, for Christmas, I got a Norelco tape recorder. And it was like a little spool, a little reel to reel with a little tiny microphone. And I got the Beatles, first album and the Stones and stuff like that. And so my parents had a one of those big stereo consoles in the living
Right.
room, big elephant. And so I couldn't hear music whenever I wanted to, but so I would use my tape recorder and record everything and then take it to my room and listen to all my songs and everything, all the records.
Yep.
And so then I would sing along with them. And then when they would leave, I would go in the living room, turn on the record, turn on the tape recorder, and sing along with the Beatles and whoever and just blend in.
Yeah.
And I had the capability of blending in.
Sure.
And so that's how I started. And I heard my voice on tape at a very early age. It's like, when you had the voice mailbox that you had, and you go, "Hi, this is so and so, and I'll
Yeah.
be back," and da da da, and then you play it back and go, "God damn, that's what I sound like."
Yes.
So I eliminated that. I already knew my character at a very early age, and then first time I got in the studio, in a real recording studio, was like, I think it was like 18 or
Okay.
19. Yeah, so when I heard myself there on the big, monitors,
Yeah.
I knew what I was
W-
dealing with.
were you playing in bands in high school, or when did you first
Um,
venture out?
I went to Torrance High School in California, and out of that school came Ambrosia, the
Mm-hmm.
band Ambrosia.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dave Pack and Joe Porte and all the rest of the guys, they used to play at school events, and and then on the weekends they would play at the YMCA. And I would see them all the time, and then they'd let me come up at the very end of their set and let me do two songs. I'd do like two blues songs or some whatever. So
Huh.
I I that's how I kind of got introduced to being on a stage and singing and having such great musicians behind me that on a get-go.
Sure. Sure.
And then later on, I met some people, and and so my real authentic first garage band was my friend Martin Lombardi. His parents had a Lloyd Wright home, which is Frank Lloyd Wright's son, and
Yeah.
it overlooked the South Bay, and you could see, like, from that house, you could see all the way down to, on a clear night, you could see all the way down to Santa Barbara. They would call it the string of pearls.
Okay.
So anyway, it was a double garage. We'd open up the garage, and there's the ocean right there, and we could play as loud as we wanted, you know. And so,
Is this Shatterminx?
no, that wasn't
Okay.
Shatterminx. It was
Okay.
something else.
Okay. Good.
And we just we just we dropped a lot of acid. Singing on acid was just like, I became like a tuning fork, because I had these voices of theater, 15 cabinets with a big power amp and everything, and I just hear myself, and I'd be singing, and just like, just this flow coming in like that, and it was pretty incredible. But
Right.
anyway, enough of those stories. I just yeah, and everything I sang was always an octave or above everything else, like the normal songs, because that was my sweet spot, you
Yeah.
know. And then I got in a lot of situations where, like, for instance, when I went to play with Asia in England, um, they were tuned down, and I had no idea about anything being tuned down or anything, or
Yeah.
half steps or anything.
Right.
I just sang in regular tuning,
Yeah.
you know, and so I just couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And obviously the music was written and by John Wetton, And so it was all tailored to John Wetton, and I just came in and I'm going like, there's no way I'm gonna fit in John Wetton's suit, and be perfect in it, because it wasn't the right size for me. It wasn't in the right key or anything. So I just basically said, look, to the management, I said, look, John Kalodner sent me here because he wanted to, do another like Foreigner or Journey, or put a front man in front of you. I go, you don't need me. I go,
Right.
you already have it.
Right.
John's the guy. John's been King Crimson, everything. Just go with John and forget what the record company wants.
Yeah.
And so I,
What year was that was going on with Asia for you?
oh, well, that was, I don't know when their first album came out, but it was a
Like,
bit before that.
okay. Okay. So, right. Okay. I got it. I mean,
Yeah, the
wow.
first Asia album.
Yeah. Okay. It was before that. All right. Well, so yeah, most of your career, you're known for your songwriting. Um, when, like in these early pre-Journey bands, were you already writing, or were you, and when was the
Yeah.
first time you wrote a song and you thought, you know what, I can do this?
I had a girlfriend who had a little classical guitar under her bed, and she let me take it home. And I just kind of like started looking at chord charts and Beatles songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like just learning chords. And then I just started writing, and I think I wrote my first song, and I played it for my mom in the kitchen. So, oh, well, that's good. Nothing like, oh, really? Okay, I'm just good. Anyway, I, uh, I had a friend who had a 4-track TAC tape recorder,
Yeah.
and I wrote about 4 songs on it, and I got myself an appointment with Chrysalis Publishing.
Okay.
So in those days, you would walk in with your reel to reel, and you'd sit across the guy from his desk, and he put it on the reel to reel, and you'd sit there and looking at you, and while the music's going, and you're just sitting there, and so he's looking like over my shoulder, and he's like looking, and then the next song would come, and he'd look over there, and the next song came, and so at the last song, I just turned around, and it was George Martin.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
And so George Martin looks at me and he goes, "You got some good ones there, lad." And he gives me the thumbs up. And I came out of that, I came out of that office, went down the elevator, walked through the lobby, opened up the doors, Sunset Strip, sunny day. I'm standing out there, and I just go, I'm going to be a songwriter. I'm going to be a songwriter. That's what I'm going to be a songwriter. And that was it for me. I felt like I was just blessed by the Pope.
Are you sure you walked through the lobby, or maybe you floated
Well, I did
through the lobby?
floated.
Right.
I was definitely elevated.
Were those songs that you had been playing in bands, or how did the
No, I had
connection
just
go that
written.
they knew about you?
I just was tenacious.
Okay. Okay.
I would call up Warner Brothers, everybody, whoever I could get a meeting with.
Right. Okay. And when we say George Martin, for people, George Martin of Beatles fame, the fifth Beatle.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
so then what
And I
happened?
met him. I got to meet him 3 times after that
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah, he had a studio in Monteros, Air Studios, and he had he had a presentation that for the record industry at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and I went there and I listened to him speak about the new studio that he was building there and all that. And then I met him one time after that, and I told him about the story, and he said, "Yeah, I remember that. Remember that?" And I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, fantastic man, inspired me. That's all I can say. He
Sure.
was the nucleus for me.
So you get this big confidence boost. You're like 19. What
Yeah.
is it those songs that lead people to go, hey, you might work for this kind of little known struggling band named Journey?
No, I don't even think anything really came about. I mean, I was always constantly writing, so it was just a batch and
Sure,
here, and I'm always constantly writing. So,
sure.
I think I was in a couple of bands. I was in Shatterminx, but my friend Michael Zuliani, who was a guitar player, and he wrote all the songs. I just sang, but
Okay.
he was a great songwriter, had great new song structure, all that, and I really kind of learned a lot from that too,
Okay.
from him. So and then later on, I got a call from somebody in Chicago who a guy named Frank Ran, who was he had a booking agency in Chicago, and he knew about me through a manager that I was involved with, and he called me up, and it's a funny story. Uh, I had just moved out of an apartment. I I had everything packed up in my car, and I realized I still had the key to the apartment and I hadn't given it to the landlady. And so I go knock on the door, and I hear the phone ring upstairs. And so I run upstairs, open up the door, grab the phone, and it's Frank Ran. And he says, I want you to come to Chicago. I have 6 bands that I want you to check out. And you can pick out any band you want to be in. And so, can you do it? And I said, yeah, I got nowhere to go. I just moved out of this place, and yeah. So prior to getting out of my car, when I got out of my car to go to the landlady,
Yeah.
there was a playing card. I think it was it was like that. It was the Queen of Hearts or something like that, or I can't remember. But anyway, I saw that, and I used to know this girl that I would find cards and she would read them like a fortune teller kind of thing. So I grab it, put it in my pocket, and I'm talking to him, and he goes, "Okay, well, listen, can you get on a plane tomorrow, and I'll book you on a flight on Continental Airlines to Chicago?" And I just go, "Okay." And the card that I had was a playing card from Continental Airlines, like
No way.
when people hadn't want to play cards on the plane and they give them the complimentary card.
Right.
It was that.
Right.
So it was just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, I go and I pick out this one band, and I liked them because they played Pink Floyd and they played Queen and stuff like that. So they were a bit little, they were atmospheric, and they had drive
Yeah.
to me. So I joined that band, and I played with them for about, I think about a little under a year.
Okay.
And then I got another call asked from a guy named Barry Fay, who was the man. He was one of the biggest promoters in the United States, along with Bill Graham. So he was based out of Denver, and he did Red Rocks and all that stuff. So he called up, basically said, "Hey, you want a shot at the big time, kid?" And I'm going like, "Oh, okay." So I'll tell my band that I'm going to be leaving, and I go to Colorado, and then he says 3 days later, he goes, "Would you like to do a showcase for CBS Records?" And I said, "Sure." So he says, "Okay, in 2 weeks." So in 2 weeks' time, I wrote 7 songs. I put a band together, rehearsed, and then the day that the show was supposed to begin, it was snowing, and we didn't know if all the people were going to be coming in from CBS from back east.
Right.
But they did make it, and they saw me play. And then a couple of days later, they asked if I wanted to go to LA to have a meeting at CBS with all the executives. So I go there, and they're sitting there. There's about 6 of them, and I'm sitting there, and they go, "We have this band called Journey. They're a jazz rock fusion band. We'd like to know if you'd like to play with them, and we like your direction and your songwriting and everything. And would you feel comfortable going and playing with them. And I said, sure, I'll go. So I never knew about them, but my brother knew about them
Okay.
because my brother knew all that prog stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just am waiting to go to San Francisco. And there was a delay because I think the band was on the road still. And during that small window of time, I get a call from George Lynch
Oh yeah.
from Lynch Mob. So George calls me up, and I go down to play with George and the other two members, like the original members. I can't remember their names, but I started playing with them,
Yeah.
and it was really exciting. But they had no idea of song structure or anything like that.
Sure.
And I just kind of bowed out after a while and just said, "Look, George, because you really are fantastic and everything, but you really need to learn how to write a song
Right.
and write music in that format."
Right.
And so I left it as that. And then years and years and years later, I'm backstage, and Lita Ford is playing, and George is supposed to play next and everything. And so we run into each other back there. And then after his gig, he invites me um, to his rehearsal, his dressing room, and everybody's there, and he tells the story about how I turned him down and told him that I didn't know how to write a fucking song and all that, but he said, you were right, you were right, So anyway, he's a I think he's terrific. I love him because he's so um, just so left of center kind of guitar player. He's a monster.
Totally.
He's like he's got that Miles Davis kind of off the wall to him, to me.
Right. So how does it work when you first do get hooked up with the guys in Journey? I mean, did you guys get along? Did you come in and say, "Hey, here's
Yeah.
my songs"? Like, how does that process start?
I get picked up by Herbie Herbert, their manager. We go to SIR Studios in San Francisco. Um, and they had this huge room, one of the biggest sound stages that I've ever been in, and they're all set up. And so we had a little bit of lunch and talked a bit, and then we gradually got up on stage and we started jamming for a good hour and a half or so, and
Right.
just jamming, just blowing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was great energy. I mean, it was incredible, and I think everybody felt it. And then we just kept on going. Um, I had everybody, was like giving me lyrics to to use and to write over the music and everything. But everybody's lyrics it was just not happening.
Okay.
It was just not happening.
Yeah.
So I got to the point where I started getting scared because I wasn't using any of their lyrics or anything. And I thought, I'm going to get fired out of this situation, but I better do something. I just got nervous.
Yeah.
So Ross Valerie's wife at the time wrote this poem, and they gave it to me, and there was a line about wheels in the sky and stuff like that. And so out of all the lyrics were just like, but I just grabbed that,
Yeah.
and I just wrote around. I just used that as the chorus template, and then I just wrote the lyrics and everything, over and structured it, and then we just started playing it, and I think Neil was fooling around with it on an acoustic guitar. I had heard him doing it with it, and then we were set up, and he played it electric on his Gibson Les Paul, and everybody else kind of joined in on it, and I just kind of kicked in, and I just kind of you know set it down.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very um, difficult for me because these guys were fantastic players,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. They're just incredible players. And here I'm this kid that comes out of nowhere, And now, they're a jazz rock fusion band that played 15-minute songs, and now you're going to be right. Now you're going to be, playing songs that are under 5 minutes.
Right.
And so I rearranged the furniture, and I was very, very scared about doing it because I didn't want to offend anyone,
Yeah.
but that's what I was there to do. So this was it. And so now it's like, okay, Ainsley, time to play 4/4, just play 4/4 now, and simplifying everything and then a structure here and there and then just kind of getting that
Okay.
instilled in this, showing them the template.
Yeah.
Right. So when I left the band, luckily, Steve Perry was already in a band where he was writing in structure and proper,
Right.
writing properly. So it was good so that he came in and he continued the thought that I originated and put forth.
So and you did play live with them for a while, right? I mean, how many shows did you play, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe about, I don't know, 30 maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember.
Okay.
I don't recall.
Sure. But you were playing live with them. You did some writing with them, and obviously it's probably uncomfortable at times because you're trying to dramatically change their sound, which they did. It ended up becoming the Infinity album, which blows up. But what leads to, hey, you know what? It's not working out with you. We're going to go in a different direction.
What happened was there was a guy from CBS who was championing Steve Perry and paying for his demos and everything like that. And he was a big A&R guy there.
Sure.
So he confronted Herbie Herbert and said, look, if you take Steve Perry, I'll get you a bigger budget. I'll get you more tour support. I'll get you radio play. It was like The Godfather, make you an offer you can't refuse.
Sure.
But yeah. So but prior to that, what really kind of made it easy for Herbie to take that move was that I had a manager. Had Barry Fay was managing me. Barry Fay was the reason I got involved in it. He sent me to CBS and set the whole thing up for CBS. So Herbie was always telling me, fire Barry, fire Barry, fire. And I just said, I can't fire Barry. He's like a dad to me, I couldn't stab him in the back.
Sure.
And so Herbie didn't want to have an extra manager involved.
Okay.
And I would say, look, just figure out some sort of percentage between the two of you, and let's just go forward, And so he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to have anybody else managing the band, which I totally respect and I understand. But that was the main thing.
Okay.
And I got along famously with everybody in the band. We had difficulty with Herbie because I was always kind of procrastinating with him, and he was getting more and more pissed off at me. And so, later on, he made all these comments about me and everything like that. And I go, well, when you're going to fire somebody, you're going to, make up whatever you're going to say to justify or just to, to ease it for that person to do whatever he has to do.
Right.
So anyway, I think our last meeting we had together as we were talking about producers, I suggested Roy Thomas Baker. They didn't even know who Roy Thomas Baker was or anything like that. So luckily they did grab him, and I think he did a great job with them. And so the rest is history.
Sure. And this would be the last thing I ask about Journey, but just, I think I'd be stupid if I didn't ask, did you ever look back and go, you know what? Why didn't I? And I mean, your loyalty sounds amazing, but did you ever think I should have just fired my manager, signed off with Herbie, and done my best to keep it working?
No,
Okay.
no, because about a month or two later, I got sort of like a la discovered by Clive Davis.
Yeah.
And then I went to New York and I worked with Jimmy Iovine and Shelley Yakis on my Perfect Stranger album.
That's
And so
right.
I moved to New York and I worked at the record plant and did my album there. And then later on, we came to LA and worked at Sound City for a while. And that's where Jimmy Iovine was working with me in the afternoons. And then at night, he was working with Tom Petty on Damn the Torpedoes.
Yep.
So I got to meet Tom. Tom would come early sometimes, and we had mutual friends, and we'd play pinball together and stuff like that. And I just, just had a great time with him. And unfortunately, what happened to him later in life was just horrible.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, part of the movie.
You seem to have a good relationship with the band. I mean, when they got their star on the Walk of Fame, I think you were there.
Yeah.
And I'll just ask this: when Steve left, and that's like 86, 87, and you still got this amazing voice, was there ever any, hey, maybe we should talk to
Well,
Robert?
they took on Steve Ajeri.
Yeah.
They took him on, and then after he left, I did get a call from them,
Okay.
and so I went up north and tried writing with Jonathan and Neil,
Yep.
and I was writing kind of almost like King Crimson type lyrics,
Okay.
very surreal, kind of edgy. And John's going, no, no, man, we're Journey's a blue collar label, a blue collar, band, and we, Saturday night, you get your paycheck, and you got to go out on Saturday night with your baby and go out and celebrate. And I'm going like, yeah, whatever.
Right. Right.
So anyway, I just go, I don't think I want to dance with this situation.
Sure. Sure. You talked about your Perfect Strangers album. You get signed by Clive Davis, and Jimmy Iovine produces it. Who
Yeah.
you get John McVie to play on it. What can you tell me about that project and what happened after it came out?
Um, that album was a real learning experience for me. It was like going to school for the first time and actually grabbing all the different tools and having them all accessed, and then working with with Jimmy was nice, but I really liked working with Shelley. And Shelley was a great engineer, and he worked with Chick Corea, Return to Forever, and all that stuff, which I really dug.
Right.
And so it was a real learning experience, and exercising my producing as a producer. Though I had Jimmy, but Jimmy wasn't really that Jimmy wasn't really that swift on that level. And he was just one hell of a lucky guy that got signed to work with a lot of different people. And so anyway, did that record. I had John Helliwell from Supertramp played sax on there.
Yeah.
I had Roger Lynn played guitar on there, who inventor of the Lynn drum machine.
Yeah.
He and I go back at the very beginning of like the Lynn drum machine when he was inventing it and all that.
Right.
So, and who else did I have? I had Jimmy Crespo play on it too.
From
Aerosmith.
Yeah.
And Andy Newmark played drums. Will Lee played bass on it too, and so did John McVie. John McVie came to the session. He was just so fucking drunk. He was so we did about like nine takes, and then we had to kind of comp it, but then basically kind of used his melodies and stuff like that. And then I had Willie play over him,
Okay.
and do it properly. But yeah. So then after that, I got on the road with that album, and Frankie Bonelli was my drummer,
That's right.
and so Frankie and I go back a long time,
Sure.
and we toured opening up for Van Halen.
Yeah.
So Running with the Devil tour.
Right.
So that was really interesting because I didn't realize that the band really didn't like Dave Lee Roth. They didn't like him, and I'm just going. And so Michael and Eddie and Alex would stand on the side of the stage and watch me do a song or two, and then they would go back into their dressing room and get ready for their for their gig, and then I'd walk down the hallway. They'd have the door open. Hey, Fleischman, come on here. So they'd be talking to me, and they're going like, "Man, we should have you as our lead singer." And I'm going like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And so yeah, they would say that all the time, and I'm just going like, "What am I supposed to say? Okay, bite." Or I didn't understand, and they just didn't like him, and he never spoke to me the entire time on the tour. Never spoke one word to me. He was a complete
Really?
yeah. And so he would have these he'd have his roadies go out and check out girls out in the audience, and he would give them these little white gloves. So he would the roadies would hand out these little white gloves to these girls, and then they'd be backstage and they'll have these little white gloves on, like little Mickey Mouse gloves.
Right.
So they'd be standing back there, and I would just I'd nick one or two of them, because I didn't like the guy, so I thought, oh, I'm gonna nick those girls from him, whatever. But anyway, yeah, that was kind of fun.
It's got to be pretty good for your confidence to hear like one of the biggest bands in the world say, "Hey, you should be our singer," because
I never took them seriously at all. I just thought they were just
right.
sitting there and
Sure.
giving me a big nice compliment or whatever. But
Sure.
yeah, and then later on, I ran into Alex at the Hard Rock Cafe when they first opened up in LA.
Yeah.
And we talked together, and we we had a burger together and stuff. But anyway, that's the Van Halen episodes.
I got to tell you, that's an awesome story. I love that. What happened with that album, with your solo album? I mean, do you feel like it didn't get promoted? I haven't heard it in forever, and I was listening.
What happened was there was the big oil crisis where everybody was in line for gasoline, like blocks and blocks. Yeah. And so the industry, to make records, you need the vinyl, which is a petroleum product.
Yeah.
So all the record companies were only printing albums for their flagship bands.
Yeah. Okay.
So
sure.
So I was very low in the totem pole, and I only had so many put out there, and so it was just one of those situations. But I'd go to town. I hear my "All for You," the song that they were promoting on the radio and all that, in all the places that I was playing. So I just one of those things, just one of those things. What can you do?
And "All for You" was a song that you wrote for Journey, right? Didn't that end up showing up on a Greatest Hits or something years later?
Yeah, on Times 3, I believe.
That's right.
But then, now that I think of it, I go, I wish I would have just given it to them, because I would have made a lot more money off of that than I did on my my own album.
Right.
But
Right. Sure.
yeah, that was a good song, I think.
Was it difficult, like you're touring with Van Halen or just touring in the 70s? Was it difficult for you to stay on the straight and narrow? Obviously, I don't know you. You don't strike me as somebody who was out doing cocaine and going crazy, but maybe I'm wrong. I mean, was it
No,
difficult?
no. I lived like a nun,
Okay.
like none, nothing. I was always worried about my voice.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I couldn't live with myself if I couldn't go the next night and just sing
Yeah.
what my mind says to
Right.
sing, do whatever acrobatics I need to do.
Right.
I was just too fearful to go out and party. Everybody else would go out and stuff. I couldn't sleep with the air conditioning on. I'd have to have like hot soups with cayenne pepper and all that stuff just to get me to the next gig. So it wasn't very exciting. It was just
Sure.
this is what you got to do, and just so that I would be satisfied with myself because I would break my own heart, if I
Yeah.
couldn't do
I don't think David Lee Roth was too worried about that, but anyway.
it. Yeah,
Um,
I don't think so.
is it around this time, like after Perfect Strangers, that you auditioned for Rainbow?
No, I actually did that way before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was before Dio got into the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very, very early. I
Okay.
was told that Blackmore was looking for a singer, and I was told to go to SIR, and I went there, and maybe I was there for like 20 minutes with him,
Oh, sure.
and played with him, and he was I think he was a bit of a pill.
Okay.
Yeah, he would like the band's here, and he'd be like way over on the other side by his amplifier and even further and just kind of like look from a distance and play his guitar with like a flamingo like a flamingo, with his one foot on his knee and one legged and playing like I don't know, like he's playing the lute or
Yeah.
something like that.
Sure.
And I just found it really peculiar, and he was just kind of he wasn't friendly, let's
Yeah.
say.
I interviewed Carmine a piece not too long ago, and he kind of had some of those similar things to say anyway. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he was not hi, how you doing?
Right. Okay. Is it okay? So when do you get well, I was gonna talk about Channel. Do you get hooked up with Vinnie Vincent before Channel? And I think Channel might happen when Vinnie joins Kiss. Could you tell me about getting together with Vinnie for the first time?
Um, I guess Vinny was writing with Paul Stanley, and Paul was writing with this other cat
Okay.
that he wrote a bunch of songs with. And I knew that guy. And every time I'm asked about this story, I always forget his name, and then later on I remember it. But so anyway, Vinny asked him if he knew a singer, and he recommended me. Vinny called me up. I said, "Sure, come on over. Comes to my house. He's I answer the door. He's in jeans and a t-shirt, sneakers, nothing outrageous.
Okay.
Uh, and he has this cassette, and I make some tea, sit down, put in the cassette, and I start hearing these songs. And I'm just going, my God, this guy's a monster guitar player.
Right.
I mean, the Mr. Riffster, just
Yeah.
riff after riff and just insane guitar.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I just, took off my rider's cap and just went in and just went into this fucking spider web, just a big crazy box of spiders.
Yeah.
And so we started writing a little bit, and I had a 4-track uh, tape recorder, and we were doing demos and stuff. And then we ended up going in the studio with Glenn John's brother,
Okay.
Andy Johns,
Yeah.
who worked with Zeppelin and all that. So
Yeah.
we did these demos with Andy. It was great hanging out, hearing all the tales of terror with him.
Yeah.
And so we had this demo, and then later on, Vinny calls me up and says, "Hey, I got a offer to go play with Kiss."
Yeah.
And I said, "Do it.
Yeah.
Go play with Kiss. I mean,
Yeah.
you just have twins. You're living in this tiny apartment with your wife, Anne Marie, and do it and change the landscape of your life. Just get yourself in a better situation." So he did. And so then later on, he calls me up and asks me if I'd like to go ride on the bike again. And so I said, okay. And so then we work on it some more and do another mix. And then he just disappears. And I find out that he made a deal with Chrysalis Records, and he signed up as a solo guy. And when we started the adventure, it was like this. It was like, you and I are going to build this house, and then we'll sell the house, and we'll get some moolah, and we'll make the record. Well, that didn't happen. He sold the house without me involved in it. So now the record company's going, well, you're going to start the album, and where's the singer? And they're like, where's Robert? And they're going like, so now I'm getting phone calls.
Yeah.
Come, please, play, do the record, do this.
Right.
I said no. I
Yeah.
told him this. I told him to piss off.
Yeah.
And I told him that for quite some time. And then finally, I just said, okay, well, I'll do it for this. And so I just threw out some crazy numbers and stuff like that. And so they went for it.
Okay.
So then, that was out of the way, and I'm in the studio, and I'm getting I have to redo all the lyric. I have to re-sing all the songs again.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that, and I would do like quite a few takes, and then I would go, okay, the melody should be actually the second verse. So let's do the first verse like melody, like the second verse, so we can have some cohesiveness to it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so a lot of the times I wasn't there when they were mixing it. I was there a little bit for mixing, but it was so laborious because the engineer, I can't remember the name of the engineer. The guy could be a saint.
Okay.
What he had to go through. So he would have everything all set up and everything, and Vinny would just kind of go up to the console, and he would slide his fingers, like push it with his guitar tracks, and the guy's going like, "What the fuck is going on?" The levels are dark, and that was Vinny like pushing the levels of the guitars up.
Yeah.
And so that was going on for a while.
Yeah.
Until I said something, and then he told him to stay out of the room, basically, kind of.
Yeah.
And so things are going on like that, and then he was piecing one section of a verse and another one, and it wasn't cohesive. So it was like a ruptured spaghetti factory to me. It was just like, so when I hear that record, I just go, that's not how it should go, and it was just, and it's like, it's just crazy. and so I just did the record, and then later on I left the band because I didn't want to tour with them. I had it. I
Sure.
mean selling the house in the beginning with a lot to fucking
Yeah.
try to sweep under the rug, which looked like a polar bear under the rug. Um, so I so I just said forget it. So then they go and they grab Mark Slaughter.
Yep.
And so now Mark is with them, and they go and do this video, and the video is with Mark Slaughter lip syncing to my voice.
Yeah.
So that was like the very first Milli Vanilli, actually. And so I sued them for that.
Yeah.
I won. After that, I was like, my reputation was like, oh, Fleischman, he's difficult.
Yeah.
He's a difficult guy. No, he's not difficult. He just, not as dumb as you think I am, or whatever.
Well,
And like,
and knowing Vinny's history, I mean, looking at all the things he's done over his career, I mean, that should
it's just
vindicate
far.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
So then they do it, and I get calls from people. Hey, Vinny's new video is going to be on MTV at 6 o'clock. You going to watch it? I go, okay. So turn it on. There it is, and there's Mark, lip syncing to my voice.
yeah.
So I get interviews later on in life, after stuff like that. After that, and I would rag on him a bit.
Okay.
So I rag, but a few years back, I saw an interview with him, and I thought that he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He's got a great work ethic.
Yep.
He was a guitar player who gave up being a guitarist and sang with Vinny and had to go through that
Yeah.
whole thing with him. And I just go, that guy's he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
So uh, I was in Chicago, in Illinois, at the St. Charles at Arcada Theater, and Slaughter was playing there, and I went with a friend, and so was Dana Strum was playing bass
Yep.
with him.
Yep.
So my friend goes, "You got to go talk to those guys." I go, "No, I'm not talking to anybody." I go, "No, you got to talk to them." So finally, um, somebody says, "Hey, Dana Strum wants to see you. Come to the back, to the bus."
Yeah.
So I'm going, no, no, and then I said, okay. So I go, and they're there, and we just had a great time, and I just felt like Dana had changed a lot. He had his kids. Kids, when they come into your life, change your life a lot, and your whole demeanor and your whole moral compass.
Yep.
So that was good. And then Mark was fantastic. And so then I saw him again, play again there, and we just had a good time talking with each other, and Mark's going, "You and I got to do a record. We got to do a song together, about Vinny. You and I singing a duet about Vinny. We'll
Yeah.
make it really discreet, but let's do that." I'm going, "Oh." So anyway, he calls me up to this day and goes, "Hey, I'm playing here. I'm near, I'm either in Illinois or I'm in Wisconsin or whatever." So
Yeah.
I go and visit him.
That's awesome. Did
Yeah.
did you ever hear the Slaughter song "Burning Bridges" about?
That's about that, right?
Yeah, it's about
That's
Vinny.
what I heard. I never heard the song. No,
Okay, it's pretty harsh, but
I'll go check it out.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna ask this, like, okay, you said like you and Vinny build the house, and Vinny sells the house and leaves you. Like when you do come in to record the album, do you go like, "Hey, Vinny, what the fuck? Why'd you fuck me over?"
It,
Or did he ever try to
it,
explain?
it would be like trying to argue and talk to your retarded cousin. Is no use. Just make the best out of the situation.
Sure.
I mean, if I wasn't so fucking nice, there would be no Vinnie Vincent album.
And I think one thing that from the interviews that I've watched, you've always seemed, even though Vinny has done some shady stuff, you've seemed to be the one person who's like, hey, it's not always his fault. You've seemed to, like kind of try to stick up for him in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like a wounded animal, you know. You just kind of feel sorry for it, but
Sure.
under the same umbrella, he's just a fucking asshole too, you know. And I just I know he's a lot to blame for everything, but there are those people who glom onto him,
Yeah.
who want to get their little 5 minutes of fame, being associated with him and trying to manipulate him to do something that he really knows he shouldn't really do it, but he's so desperate for some sort of opportunity of anything.
Mhm.
He just picks the wrong date,
Right. Right.
and then they fuck up everything around him. And I've always told him, and I've said this many times before, I just say, Vinny, you need to put your hands on on your own steering wheel of life.
Yeah.
You can't just hand over
Yeah.
the steering wheel to everybody, and then they crash the car, and then you blame them when it was really you who handed them the keys and the wheel.
After you record the debut album, and you talked about you left the band. What was it? Was it just a combination of everything? Or when were you like, okay, fuck this, I'm out?
I just I didn't want to go on tour.
Okay. Okay.
I just didn't
Sure.
want to go on tour. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I
Okay.
just didn't. I had played with him prior, when that band he was in once, called New Hampshire, or New something,
Okay.
New New Haven, or
Okay.
something, some some band he was in.
Okay.
And they came to LA, and Vinny went to play with them, and Vinny asked me to come along. And so we went to SIR Studios and jammed, and Vinny couldn't even make it through a song without having to tune up. He was just constantly out of tune,
Sure.
you know, and tuning up in the middle of the song. I thought to myself, even back then, I go, man, I couldn't see myself playing with this guy.
Yeah.
Uh, this guy's like constantly out of tune, you
Right.
know. So it might have been a coincidence or just a bad day or whatever it might have been, but that
Yeah.
was like the first kind of like, oh, what's wrong with this picture, you know?
Yeah. Um, you were so you there was a time in 2018 you
New
were
England.
oh, I'm sorry. New
New
England.
England, yeah.
That's right. Shit. That's right. I forgot about that. Um, there was a time in 2018 where you and Carmine Apiece and Tony Franklin, I think, were going
Yeah.
and just like almost everything else that he's planned over, it back or it doesn't happen. Could you just kind of tell me, briefly your perspective of what happened on that time in 2018?
Well, at that time I was saying no to the whole thing.
Right.
And then the next thing I know, I see this poster with Carmen's name on there, and Tony's name on there, and then my name on there, with like, you need a microscope to see my name on there.
Right.
And I thought, like, holy shit. And then I'm getting all these, notes and all this from social media going, wow, what's going on? You look at your names like minuscule, on there. And I'm just like going, oh, I don't know. It just, I'd never had any plan on doing it anyway, but
Right.
it was all the promoter who was trying to,
Okay.
promote Vinny,
Okay.
yeah, it was all stemmed from the promoter,
Sure.
basically.
Sure.
And I guess it was his. Well, I don't know if Fleischman's going to do it or not, but I'll put his name on there, really small, like a whisper. I just, like, it's crazy.
Right. Right. Okay. Have you talked to him since then?
I spoke to him uh, maybe 2 years ago on the
Okay.
phone,
Okay.
and I said, well, look, why don't you just send me 3 songs?
Yeah.
Okay, your favorite songs, send them to me, and I'll take a look at them.
Sure.
And then in the middle of the conversation, he would go, "Are you recording me? Are you recording me?" I'm going, "What?" Go, I'm recording the conversation we're having right now? I don't think so, Vinny. I go, how could you ask me that? That amount. It was just bizarre.
Okay.
So he never he never he never sent me anything. He was at the time pushing for me to sing the second Vinnie Vincent album. I can't remember the name of it, but he wanted to replace Slaughter's voice with mine.
Oh,
And, yeah, and I said no, I don't want to do that. I'm not
wow.
going to do that.
Right.
Yeah. So then, and then recently, supposedly he got a bunch of money from somebody and went into the studio and started remixing all the stuff, that Armageddon or whatever, I'm getting the hell out of here album.
Okay.
So he went in and started doing those, and then he started posting these on his new uh, Facebook
Yeah.
page. Did
Yeah.
you see all that?
I heard about this. I heard
Yeah.
about this.
So
Yeah.
I guess it was he'd do these videos with his phone and just picture of the Pro Tools screen, and he was just there, and he'd record. He would record the playback while I
Yeah.
was going and giving out all these little teasers and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and saying the new album's coming out and everything. And then all of a sudden, boom, he just disappears.
Yeah.
He's gone. This whole thing is gone.
Yeah.
From what I understand, he doesn't have the money to manufacture it.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's ever going to see the day, but yeah. So just recently he popped up again on his page saying, "Oh, hi guys, it's been a while. How are you all doing?" Like like peeking up above the covers. And it's like, God damn. I just wish one time he could follow through and
Yeah.
just put everything to sleep, but it just doesn't ever happen. And
And
I'm wishing for him to do it. I'm rooting for him, but it's like rooting for a one-legged ass man with an ass kicking contest. You know?
sometimes did I hear that maybe he was transitioning, or because he looks very feminine now, and I don't know if anybody's ever. Anyway, I just.
Likes to wear like Hillary Clinton suits,
Right. Right.
pantsuits.
So,
And when I saw him in Atlanta, we hadn't seen each other for years. Gives me this big hug, and I'm going like, "Wow, this feels weird. And so I find out later that he had a bulletproof vest on at the Atlanta thing.
no way.
Yeah. I'm going like, what, this guy thinks he's going to be, somebody's going to shoot him? I mean, there's a lot of people out there that, I mean, they could justify shooting him. But I mean, I just go like, wow, what an ego to think that, oh, I need to be bulletproof to go out and
Right.
all this stuff. And
Right.
it's all this self-manifesting kind of
Right.
image of he has for himself. But that's his life.
Okay. And I'll be done with it.
He can keep it.
Yeah.
I mean, God bless him. I don't know why he does all this stuff and why it happens to him, but I just wish the best for him.
Right.
And whatever I say, I mean, I don't mean it with any malice. It's just, I want to understand it, but yeah, there's no way of understanding it.
The guy's obviously super talented,
Oh, the guy's a monster. I mean, he can play
right?
anything, you
Right.
know.
Just hopefully he gets
And
everything
he's an
great.
incredible songwriter. I mean,
Right.
incredible songwriter.
Right. Yeah, I mean, shoot, even after he left Kiss, they came back and wrote songs with him later on, and
You know, and when I was having that conversation with him, I was in the middle of Emotional Atlas.
yeah,
So I thought, wow, I'd love to just like synth and fucking Vinnie Vincent
yeah,
bomb together
yeah,
and me singing over this shit.
yeah,
I mean, I think it could be really something, but never. I don't think it'll ever happen.
sure. So I
And
mean,
I don't think I could even get in that work mode with him too. Don't
right.
know, but on paper, I think it would be great.
Oh yeah. I mean, what if he
Like Rome, you know, the riff that synth line on Rome, the
yeah.
last song on the album. You know, imagine like Vinny
Oh
ripping
shit.
on that like that. You know, it'd
Yeah.
be credible.
I mean, what do you do if he's like, Robert, I've got my shit straight. I know I've wronged you in the past. Let's give it one more shot.
I would I would hesitantly say maybe.
Right. Yeah. Okay. 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 That's the last I'll ask about them. But thank you
Yeah.
for going into that.
Oh, no problem.
It seems like after Vinnie Vincent Invasion, it seems like you kind of just transitioned to being a songwriter.
Yeah. Well, after that, I was a staff songwriter for Almo Irving Publishing.
Yeah.
So I was with them for about 3 years,
Okay.
just writing songs. I had to write like 10 songs a year,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
which was very easy to do.
Sure.
And
What,
then after that, I got involved with the Channel album,
okay.
and when I went to England and recorded at Pink Floyd Studios in England at Britannia Row.
Yeah.
Did that album, and then I did a lot of solo albums with home recording studio stuff, and just
Right.
did that.
Right. Um, and you wrote you wrote for a lot of stuff that ended up in like TV shows and
Yeah, I did some TV shows. I got lucky and stuff like that, and did some commercials. But yeah, I mean, back then it was like great money.
yeah. Right. Um, and I ask this all the time because music went through such a change when grunge happened. What was your were you like, holy shit, it just dropped, like what was your perspective of it coming in? Do you like it?
I loved Pearl Jam, their
Okay.
first album. I
Okay.
thought that was just a monster of a record.
Right.
I love the way it was recorded, the tone of everything, the drums.
Right.
It just sonically was like great ear candy, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
And so when that was going on, I put a band together with Rusty Anderson, who plays with Paul McCartney, who's
Okay.
been with him for years and years.
Right.
And then Tony Franklin played bass. And then I had Gary Ferguson play drums, who played with Gary Moore and Eddie Money and all that stuff,
Yeah.
the session player. And we put a body of work together, called it ESP,
Okay.
and we played one gig in Hollywood, and then kind of everybody kind of had to do different things, and they were basically session players, and everybody gets asked to go on the road and
Yeah.
get a salary and all that, and
Yeah.
I wasn't equipped to do that,
Yeah.
but anyway, did do that. It was sort of like very Doorsy with electric guitars, very moody, very atmospheric and very heavy also.
What happened
Plus,
with those songs?
plus tone, huh?
What happened with those songs?
They're in the can. They're
Okay.
just laying in the can somewhere.
there's probably people who would love to hear that. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'd love to hear it too. I have to go search for that.
Um, just like so, I do
I
some
mean,
stuff,
those are great players there,
right? I do some stuff with F&A Records. They're just a small label. They release a lot of older, unreleased stuff from back in the day that didn't get to come out.
Oh,
So I would gladly hook you up with them if maybe if that's
wow, thank you.
yeah.
We'll,
So
we'll see. I'll see what's in the old bread box.
that would be fantastic. So you're doing this other songwriting. Are you always doing art, or when do you start like going, okay, I'm gonna start expanding my artistic horizons? You start painting. When did that happen?
I started when I was like 13.
Oh, okay.
So all my life I've just danced between, music and art.
Okay.
And yeah. So I quite a few years back I woke up with this thing called theory essential um, retinopathy. I woke up with my eye kind of look. It's this way. If I close my left and look out my right eye, um, there's like a gray mass there. It's
Okay.
like if you were to look at a bullseye, I can't see the bullseye. I can only see the outer rings of the bullseye because I have this thing.
Wow.
And I woke up, and when I woke up with that, I thought I was going to go blind. And
Wow.
so I really doubled up on painting and doing collage and doing all my art. I thought I'm just going to do as much as I can before
Yeah.
the worst happens.
Yeah.
And but through time, it has subsided and got more opaque. But my right eye is not happening. I can't like throw frisbees with my kids, anything like that because
Sure.
I have my depth perception is off.
You have a lot of your art on robertfleischman.com. You sell some of it, so
Well, it's actually not on there. There's just examples of it,
I saw
but
some examples, right?
but my Instagram it has I show a lot of my art on my Instagram
Okay.
page. Yeah,
I
and
will.
so there's that, and then I'm actually I'm leaving a gallery this Friday that I've been with for quite some time, and I'm going to another gallery in
Okay.
Chicago.
Oh,
Yeah. So the gallery that represents me is in this very affluent area called Hinsdale in Illinois, and
okay.
so it's very affluent, but just not getting enough action as I did in prior. But because one of the guys that left the gallery is moved, and he was really championing me a lot. So
Sure.
I have to get out of there and go into the city. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to do that Friday.
Oh, how many pieces are going to be up in this gallery?
Probably I don't know, 20 pieces.
Okay. Okay.
And
Do you ever paint anything that crosses over to your music career or?
no,
Okay. Sure.
no,
I got you.
just no, not a Paul Stanley.
Right. Right. Um, so I know Chip Enough, I think, played on some of Emotional Atlas.
Yeah, he played bass on some of the songs. Yeah, I just I I like synth bass, but there's just something about it that just kind of doesn't click with me. But I just love more of a real bass on there.
Yeah.
I like to morph the bass of real bass, but
Yeah.
um, yeah. So Chip played on it, and then Chip. I met Chip maybe 10 years ago,
Okay.
and when I first met him, he goes, "I got this song that I did with Neil Sean and Donnie V and this drummer." And we were recording in Chicago, and this is in 1993. and Herbie was in Chicago and visiting us because I think Herbie was managing them at one time.
Okay.
That's enough. So he brought down so Neil tagged along, I gather, and they were working on this song, and Neil participated in the song. So they had this whole track,
Yeah.
you know, this whole track, and it was lost.
Right.
And every time I would see Chip, he would go, I'm still looking for it. I'm still looking for it.
Right.
And so, you know, a few months back, he found it.
Okay.
And he sends it to me, and I listen to it, and I think I wrote the lyrics within 45 minutes and the melody. And then a few weeks later, I went in the studio with him, and I did the vocals on it. And now it's released on his new album, which I I'm so flattered that he would have me sing the entire song on his album. I mean, that's just so generous, you know. And here I thought that he had all these other people doing that, but he didn't. It was him singing the whole album except for me at the very end,
Right.
singing Shine.
I think it sounds, and it's a freaking great song. I'll put the link for it in the description. Shine on the new Enough's Enough. So I mean,
Yeah, it's and plus, you know, it's the first time that since 1977, I think, that Neil, Sean, and I have been on the same track
yeah,
together.
yeah,
And I haven't heard anything from him, but I'd sure be curious to see what his feelings are about it.
right. Does there like you weren't in Journey that long, but it's like you never mentioned Robert Fleischman without saying former singer of Journey, and it was less than a year. I mean, that's got to feel like you have this long standing, I don't know. You're just so associated with that band, even though
Well,
it was a short time.
that's news to me.
Okay. I mean, along with everything else, but
But see, when that album came out, there was no internet,
right, right,
no internet,
right,
and so nobody really knew about me
right.
except by liner notes or
Yeah,
whatever, seeing some name on there. But
yeah,
nobody really knew about me.
yeah.
And then when you know, the internet came about, that's when I, you know, was, you know, I popped out of the ground basically,
Right, right.
you know. So you know, thanks to the internet, I have my history told.
Yeah,
And because people like you know, who champion, you know, music, and because of you, a lot of bands um, get a lot of exposure where they don't, because the record companies and the way the radio is and everything, everybody's just kind of nameless and faceless,
right.
you know, and but being on the internet and everything, it people get a chance to see who you are, and you get a chance to feel what other people are feeling about you too. You know,
Right.
so it's a beautiful thing. And thank you for championing music. I mean, we need people like you, because the record industry and the radio doesn't touch the full spectrum of what music is all about.
That's part of what sucks now is that musicians don't make any money from making music.
Hey, you know, this is my album.
Yes.
You know, you open it up, there it is. You got vinyl in here. You tell people to go to your website and to buy it, and it's so difficult to get people to do anything, to buy
Yep.
anything. But
Yep.
for me, it's just a labor of love. I love working and packaging this album. Um, I, uh, I make more money selling one painting than I do selling CDs.
Right.
So this is just a calling card, basically.
Right.
But I do wish people would buy it, because because if I sell them all out, I want to do another um, a run of the album, but different mixes that are the different. This is a different mix than the mixes that you hear on Spotify and everything.
Oh,
I want to put those mixes on Spotify and everything and put them on vinyl.
okay.
On you can hear, and also I mixed it in Dolby Atmos.
Okay.
So if you listen to my album on YouTube, it is in Dolby Atmos.
Okay.
Yeah, and Dolby Atmos is going to be the new way of the standard of listening to music, immersive music,
Right.
and all the new cars that are coming out are going to have all Dolby Atmos, and the record companies want Dolby Atmos for all the new bands that are putting
Right.
stuff out, and plus it transitions and better for movies,
Right.
for
Is
theaters.
is emotional like I know it's on your website. Is it available? Like can you find it at Amazon or is it
Yeah,
just
I don't know if you can find it on Amazon,
okay.
but maybe. But it's on robertfleischman.com,
Yes.
and you can get it there. And I do sign all of them, and
Yes.
they're sent out to you. And just please give a listen and help me sell these albums, and so I can do another run and maybe do another album for everyone too. It's like you pitch the ball out there and just hopefully somebody will catch it and throw it back to you, and that's all you can ask for. But
And
I do it as a labor of love, and I do it for myself, not for anybody else.
yeah. I still like this is all the CDs that I bought like over the last couple months probably. Um
Wow.
I'll be honest, I am just hearing about Emotional Atlas because I was like, hey, well, I'm gonna get to talk to you. And so I listened to it and I am like shocked at like, well, number one, it was like I said, it was so different from what I expected. But by the third listen, I was like, wait a minute, like I really started understanding it
Thank you.
and the lyrics and the atmospheric, so I was the atmospheric sounds, I was just so impressed. So I'm looking forward to picking. Is it available on CD or is it just on vinyl?
Yeah, it's I have CDs.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Okay. Awesome.
right there.
Awesome. So I'm looking forward to picking that up. I will put your website, your Instagram in the description, but I well, number one, I appreciate your time so much, and I've so enjoyed listening to your new solo album and then going back to Perfect Strangers and Channel. And I always knew, the Vinnie Vincent stuff. I mean, I'm a
Right.
metal guy, but
Another thing that's going on right now as we speak,
yeah.
I'm remastering my whole catalog
Okay.
of the on my Sky albums,
Yes.
the band Sky. Nobody's really got to hear it because I pulled all my music off of a digital platform when it first started because I didn't want to make a penny
Yeah.
for each song, you
Right.
know. And I just said I'm not participating in this, but now I'm going to participate. But
Okay.
I'm remastering all my whole catalog is being remastered, and then I'm going to put it all onto Spotify and all the different digital platforms.
Fantastic.
So in about a month or so, I should have like a big splash of new music, a lot of that hasn't been heard, basically too. But
Okay.
it's all pumped up and on steroids now.
Okay, that's phenomenal, and I hope you do go forth with that folk or singer-songwriter stuff. I think that would be
Yeah.
an interesting turn for you, and you've always done kind of what was unexpected. You never get, you have done so many different. You're kind of a chameleon, and
That's
I
a
think
that's what Gene Simmons calls me, the chameleon.
okay. Right, right. And there's a lot I didn't get into, but you've given me so much of your time. Go check out Emotional Atlas. Go check out robertfleischman.com and go check out the old albums, the Perfect Strangers solo album, Channel, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, And Robert Fleischman, it has just been an honor to have you on and to hear your story.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. God bless. Thank you.
I will let you know when this is coming out, and
Okay.
I'm rooting for you, and thank you again.
Thank you so much. You
All right,
take care. God
you
bless.
too. You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye bye.